All right, so we are looking at the year 2026. Sat down and went through the energetics of the year through just visions and asked specifically about each month. And what I saw was essentially just energies for each month. This isn't going to be on a personal level. This is a collective level. So what you can do is use this as a guide to help you to navigate your personal energetics, your ascension path, your healing, and anything that comes up to help you just kind of understand how the year is going to play out. Okay, so it's really interesting. 2026 is going to operate primarily as a corrective and sorting year. So we start the year off in January as just a lot of light coming in, a lot of people waking up. And I literally saw a very detailed image of a woman whose hair was made of light. Her eyelashes were light, her eyes were glowing. And there was this really bright, it was like a wintry bluish white color, okay? And so I'll go into the details here in a second, but that's how the year starts. Then we have some ups and downs. And the point of the year is to take the downs as not failure, but an opportunity to clear shadows, okay, to go into the depths. And if you stay centered and coherent, meaning as things come up throughout the year, you clear them immediately instead of waiting till there's a tower moment or some sort of chaos that forces you into it. Just stay conscious and aware throughout the whole year. There's two major choice points. So there's a sorting in April, and then there's another opportunity in July for people to move on to the highest timeline. Okay, so if people miss the sorting in April, or they're sorted into a lower intermediate timeline, they actually have another opportunity in July where we will, as a collective, kind of drop down and help everyone elevate that is ready at that point. Okay, so April isn't necessarily the deadline. We will see this shift throughout the year. So January represents light influx and awakening. So as I spoke before, we saw this bright eyes, this illumination. It was very crystal clear energy. Okay, so let me go into this. January appeared bright. It was filled with light and new beginnings. Awareness turns on across the collective. So more and more people will be awakening. More and more people will be elevating. And this is normal in January for people to go, okay, I'm going to get my stuff together. I'm going to start doing this. It's like that, only it's at a consciousness level. It's at a frequency level. Okay. So this is illumination before action. Light enters the system first to reveal what exists beneath the surface. So as you incorporate or integrate more light, more shadows will come to the surface because they can't stay hidden the more light is in the system. Okay, so January is going to start illuminating, even though it's this really high frequency energy, it's going to start the process of pulling up shadows. Okay, so if you're struggling with new schedules, you're struggling with new beginnings, it's because there's a shadow there that needs to come to the surface for you to address and clear. If you do that while you're integrating this light, February will be a lot smoother, because otherwise what happens when we see February, I was shown this dark crevice. It was brown, black, and red. Okay, that many people will fall into after this initial high. Then there's this lower energy that people have to go into. If in January you hold steady, process things as they come up, stick to your schedule or your changes or your new beginnings or your awakenings with balance, so between masculine and feminine, so you're not pressing so hard that you can't maintain it, then you can actually move into the February and maintain without the dip. Okay, so as things are illuminated in January, take the time to process them and clear them. Okay, and I went through the visions, and then I clarified everything with I Ching. So we have both the divination, both the visions, and we're able to merge them so it's more accurate, okay? And the I Ching confirmation here was about clarity preceding correction. So nothing is forced in January, but everything is revealed, okay? So January is seeing, being conscious, being aware, allowing that light to shine on the shadows. Don't think that just because everything's new and fresh, that there aren't things to clear still, because there are, okay? That's the time to start working on them. Okay, then February, we have shadow triggered by light. Okay, so like I said before, if you don't do the work in January, you're going to go into that depth in February to clear all of that, okay? So because of how much light people pulled in, the shadows begin to surface. Those who consciously address the shadow early in January largely bypass February's intensity, okay? So the shadow here is not about regression, it's about this contrast that's caused by the expansion. So what was hidden becomes visible because the frequency rose. So we already discussed that. The more light you embody, the more the shadows will be exposed and the more clearing work you have to do, okay? And the I Ching confirmation here is, it's about unresolved material being bitten through. Bypass is not available this year, okay? So you can't ignore stuff. If you don't deal with it by February, it's going to come up, okay? Now, understand this will be experienced differently depending on how much healing work you've done, how much energy you've transmuted. We're looking at the collective energies, okay? So, use your intuition and your discernment here with all of this, okay? So then we go into March, and what I was shown is actually a chariot being driven. It was slightly moving up, but we're seeing forward progress again. So we had this dip in February, it came up, and then, so the timeline was very linear when I was being shown this. And February, we see this chariot moving. There was flowers coming out of it. It felt a lot lighter and definitely forward momentum here, okay? It was a lifting energy expansion. Momentum begins to return. Things begin moving again after the dip, okay? So once the shadow is addressed, life force actually reactivates within you, then direction becomes embodied rather than conceptual. And the I Ching confirmation here was, even with partial vision, one can move forward when integrity is present. So perfection is not required. It is about sincerity. And also remember, these aren't going to be physical realities. This year is based on your frequency and your alignment, okay? So everything that happens, the sorting is frequency and alignment, okay? How you handle the ups and downs of this year is going to be based on frequency alignment and your ability to master your own energy, your own field. Because when you master that, then you're in a state of peace and coherence all the time. The collective can be moving up and down. The astrological energies, the solar energies can be coming in and hitting the field, friends and family, but you're stable, okay? That's key. Once your light body is stable, you're sovereign, then those things, they can affect you if you have distortion still. If you don't have distortions, you will move through it with absolute peace and clarity. Okay, that's the goal here. Okay, so then we move into April, and what I saw in April was a channel of void energy. So it was, January, February, March, and then it was black channel of energy, and I was told it was a void, okay? It was like this dark block cutting through the timeline. And what I was told is this was a sorting mechanism, and people are placed into timelines according to frequency and alignment, not intention, okay? So it doesn't matter what you want to see happen, what you're conscious of, what you're moving towards, it's going to be based purely on intention, okay? And so after this, I was told to just cover the timeline of those on the highest trajectory towards activating the diamond sun and moving into the pinnacle of human evolution, because that's what we're doing. Is when we work towards the diamond sun, we're working at the level of the DNA and physical human evolution, okay? Our abilities to tap into our true capacities as divine beings on the planet, okay? So after April, actually, let me finish this. So essentially, this is resonance physics. It's not based on judgment. You did well, you didn't do well. So identity, effort, and spiritual appearance carry no weight. It's just the resonance. It's just the frequency, okay? And the I Ching confirmation here is about outer display losing relevance. Only true positional alignment determines placement. This is a non-negotiable reset, not a punishment. So again, it's not a judgment on your character. It is pure resonance, okay? If you're aligned, you'll move into the highest timeline. If you're not aligned, you won't, okay? And again, there's actually another choice point in July. So if for some reason you don't move on to that highest timeline in April, then you can work on things for the next couple months. The collective energies will dip back down again and pick up those people to carry them into the ascension path, okay? May, we're seeing ascension trajectory. So highest timeline only, I just spoke about that. So those aligned, they begin moving onto a pure ascension path. And what I was shown is this line moving up about 45 degrees with a diamond sun at the top. So this is the trajectory those people will begin moving on. Okay, it's just a pure ascension. I didn't see any wobbles, distortions. It just is this clear line towards the diamond sun. So the direction of this path actually locks in May. Exploration ends and you begin embodying. Okay, so instead of trying to figure out where you're going, what you're doing, the confusion, the chaos, that will start to dissolve. You'll start understanding the true path, okay? I Ching confirmation here is movement resumes only when it's natural, unforced, and true. So essentially, when your frequency's at the right level, then you will be able to move into this trajectory. It can't be forced. You can't pretend. You can't want to move into it. You have to have done the work, the frequency work, the healing work to move there. Okay, then June, we have fluctuation and coherence training. So I saw this energy. It was, again, I was seeing a linear timeline. I was seeing this energy up and down, up and down, up and down, but it was still in the higher timelines. It wasn't major like the February dip. It just is some kind of fluctuation. So you're elevating and then you're dipping down to heal, elevating, dipping down to heal, elevating, dipping down. So June is going to be an opportunity for people to do the healing on the micro currents of energy that could be distorted, okay? I was told this fluctuation helps people learn coherence in the new frequency state. So there will be ups and downs, and it is a test to help you to know what is affecting you, what is stabilizing you. Stability here is learned through lived calibration, this integration. This is integration, not instability. So this up and down energy is helping you to learn how to stay harmonic, balanced, and coherent despite the fluctuations in your own field, in the collective field, in other people's fields, etc. Then we move into July. I saw this really dramatic drop and then a spike, okay? And at the very bottom, there was like a highlighted star. So this is the secondary choice point and sorting. So there was this dramatic plunge into darkness followed by a rapid rise. I was told that this was a secondary pickup drop-off point for those who missed April's sorting. So some people may actually make it into the upper timeline in April and then could, through lack of humility, ego, distortions, could actually lose the footing and get dropped off. This isn't meant to scare anyone. As long as you have a pure intention, an open heart, you're aligned and you're doing the healing work, you will be fine. But you have to maintain integrity. You can't go into these higher spheres. And this is why most people have a fall from grace, is they will elevate and they feel like they're above everyone else, and there's no way they can be damaged or hurt. And in that space, their field becomes corrupted. And that's where we could see this drop, okay? For most people, if you're doing the steady work, you know how to manage your field, you know right from wrong, you'll be fine there, okay? And so most people, I don't see this happening, but it was mentioned, so I wanted to bring it up. So the collective field actually dips to allow later realignment. Some trajectories dissolve, others re-enter coherence. So those that missed the April can actually get picked up and elevated there in July, okay? The I Ching confirmation here was attempts to move forward without embodiment fail. Only what has substance continues. So we're seeing if you just rise, it's just mental, spiritual, and you're not doing the work on the emotional, physical, the ego, you're not healing that, there's a good chance you'll move into a dissonant state, and that will actually distort the field and you won't be able to stay. And that was the I Ching confirmation. That's why that was important to bring up. Now we have August. This is the Diamond Sun confrontation. We saw another rise. Okay, I was remembering the vision. We saw another rise. It was slightly wavy, but more stable. So it was here, wasn't a dramatic rise. It wasn't the vertical up and down. So we're going to see minor tests again in August. What I saw was the planetary diamond sun behind this wavy energy, and it was fully activated, okay? Because this energy was fully activated and this line was wavy, what this requires of people is that they have to, at this point, phase lock with the planetary diamond sun to stay on this trajectory. So this is a resonance checkpoint. Compatibility with the diamond sun frequencies determines whether people continue on this path or not, okay? So this isn't really a timeline shift. It's more of, are you going to stay on the highest path, highest timeline, or are you going to go on a different one? And we'll see that here in the next month. So the I Ching confirmation there is precision and integrity are now essential, okay? September, we have the unity threshold. So I saw pure unity consciousness and the diamond sun body. And what this was the circle with the point at the center. So it was essentially the void, pure source energy, unity, okay? Those who could phase lock crossed a threshold in September. And all I heard was things will change, okay? So I don't know exactly what that means. We will see in the following months. But this is a threshold for people to shift, okay? Unity becomes operational. So reality reorganizes from coherence rather than polarity. So from this point on, we are not looking at the dualistic reality. We're looking at merging from pure unity. And in the coming months, I saw reality being structured from the one point instead of the 2 points of duality, okay? And the I Ching confirmation here is action flows directly from unity, not duality, just like I said. Okay, October, time structures change. So time itself changed here. I saw multiple timelines emanating from the unity field of September. They were all high frequency, all non-dual, but represented different experiences, okay? So the energy was, what it looked like was kind of an orb with the central point in many, many different experiences emanating out from this. There weren't dark experiences, there weren't light experiences. They were all light-based, unity-based experiences. Okay, so again, we're looking at the highest timeline. Not everyone's going to experience this, okay? You will experience this if you're on the highest timeline towards the diamond sun activation. November, multidimensional time and new earth formation. I saw a multidimensional sacred geometric fractal of light that represented unity-based time. New Earth realities begin forming here, first in the higher planes. This architecture precedes manifestation. New realities stabilize above before anchoring below. And the I Ching confirmation, creation follows coherence. So what I saw here was a very, very complex sacred geometric form that the month before was ideas, thought forms emanating from this point of unity. Here, there was actual structure. So the reality was beginning to stabilize in energetic, multidimensional form, and we can begin connecting to those realities as our light body resonance merges or builds or creates or resonates with those realities, okay? Then December, refinement of new realities. All I saw in December was the same image, only it was getting more complex, more detailed, more information, okay? The new realities formed earlier are polished, stabilized, and clarified. This is about integration, not necessarily initiation. So we're just continuing on with this new reality structure. The year's work settles into lived structure, okay? And the I Ching confirmation here is clarity has become order. So what we're seeing this year is this shift from there's massive sorting happening and corrective healing, okay? If you move through this and are able to stabilize, align, and harmonize, you'll see yourself moving into this new field of unity, okay? So that doesn't mean everything's going to be healed and perfect by the end of the year, but at a collective level, we are seeing this structure that people can enter when they're ready, okay? So just because you miss these choice points and the sorting this year doesn't necessarily mean you cannot rise into this. It just means you have to do the work. So those are the major choice points, the major sorting. And then once next year comes, we'll be working with a new planetary framework. Sounds like the diamond sun will be fully activated by then on the planet. And at that point, if you are on that highest trajectory, you're still going to have to be healing and clearing as you're elevating towards activating your own diamond sun and wherever you're going to kind of sit within the rest of the lifetime that you're currently in, so that you can stabilize there, okay? So we're always healing, we're always evolving. You can put energy and effort into that, into building the light body, stability, healing, or you can just see what happens, okay? The more structured and defined you are on this path, the more you're going to elevate and step into that diamond sun role, okay? So that's it. I hope that was helpful. Please reach out if you have questions, and know that the Jedi School, prep school is the healing that is really intense. Healing up through the 24-point star. Then the Mastery School, we get into the advanced abilities of the planetary leadership and healing abilities, and building the temple spaces, moving into full coherent planetary harmonization. All right. So anyways, sending you guys so much love.